Welcome to the Amplified CEO with VC and serial entrepreneur Richard Stroupe. With today's guest, Andrew Sridhar, a former Navy SEAL commander and founder and CEO of The Warrior Poet, a platform for his keynote speaking, leadership coaching, and the Warrior Poet podcast.
I thought your discussion this morning at Elevate was over the top, very inspirational, and it's the way that you tell a story is phenomenal. And one of the things we talked about in Elevate this week was storytelling and how important it is in today's time to be authentic and to really hit on the emotional side. And the best way to do that is via storytelling. And I think you hit the ball out of the park this morning. It was awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, you're starting off with something I'm really passionate about, especially lately, which is storytelling. I have
Did you take any classes? Or like, have you specifically been learning how to be a better storyteller?
I am being intentional about trying to make this something I am a master of the craft at. Mm-hmm. I had a mentee introduce her co-founder to me on a call where I was giving them some advice about their startup, and the way she introduced me was, Andrew does this and this and this, his experience is how we know each other, and he's great at storytelling, and that's why I got us on the call today. And that is great. Always great to hear compliments about yourself. Like you said today, everyone likes to hear about themselves, talk about themselves, but I took a step back after the call and asked myself, well, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I'm a product leader, former Navy SEAL. Am I actually really that as good as she says I am? And it's an evolving part of the journey for me where I think I'm okay at it, but I've been intentional about doing it. So I've seen some presentations at conferences about how to do this. I've written a little bit about it too, which, as you know, when you write something, when you teach something, you also are learning. And then I recently read the book, The Science of Storytelling by Will Storr, S-T-O-R-R. And it's one of the best nonfiction books I've ever read. I learned so much in that book, The Science of Storytelling, about not just storytelling, but stories in general and what resonates with us as humans. And also, I learned a lot about myself just reading that book. And now I'm on to another book as well. So yeah, thank you, but I'm really trying to.
What are you reading now?
It's called The 7 Basic Plots. Okay. And it's for the hardcore. It's for the hardcore. And so if you really want to get good at storytelling, start with Science of Storytelling. I'd highly recommend that. Okay. It's amazing, and there's a bunch of references in there, and there's other books you can read that Will Storr, the author, highlights. This was one of them, and it's really, really long. It's it's a 40-hour audiobook or something like that, and I'm 2/3 of the way through. And it's the 7 Basic Plots, because people who study this, they've found that stories can be broken down into just some basics that repeat again and again and again throughout humanity, throughout history, cross-culturally. And what I want to do is get better at who are my characters, how am I highlighting them, how am I developing them in the story, what is their inner challenge, what's their external challenge, and how do we take someone who hears something on a journey where there's these periods of contraction where we feel the anxiety of the character, and then release where we have some euphoria and a break, and then some more contraction and release, more contraction, more release, and then you get to the ultimate climax. And people, a lot of people learn this stuff in high school and English class, whatever, if we were listening. But it's an art and a science. I'm trying to get better at it.
No, it's wonderful. Matter of fact, this morning when you're talking about your experiences as a Navy SEAL and some of the battle scenes that you were involved in, you actually felt like you were there. It's like watching a movie. It's like when I'm listening to you, but in real time, like I could see this happening.
Oh, good.
I'm like, it's okay. So it worked. Yeah, it was really, really good.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. Mission accomplished.
Yeah. There were a few people recording today. You were recording, but did somebody else record it? Or
I had a couple cameras
Oh,
going
those
for
both were yours.
redundancy.
Okay,
and
got
then
it.
and then Bailey was taking parts as well. So yeah, there were some phones out at times, which for those aspiring speakers out there, it's like good confirmation that you're doing a good job when people start pulling their phones out and take pictures of you and the slides and everything else. So
yeah. It was awesome. It was phenomenal.
Cool.
Well, I'm so happy that we finally have you here in Wilmington.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah.
I've heard such great things from you, and Topsail was a hidden gem, or at least hidden to me. And yeah,
Right?
and also it sounds
Yeah.
like you guys have such a burgeoning entrepreneurial culture and ecosystem here that you and others have contributed to. So it's really impressive to see.
Yeah, the interesting thing is we've been vacationing here since 2003 and finally bought a house in 2006, 7, or, and really didn't get into the business scene. I've always looking for an outlet, because of course in Northern Virginia, you're pretty much focused on government contracting and that whole industry there. But, got into real estate around 17 and, that took me to a journey until 2025. But in 22, I learned about that company, Ohanify, via Jim Roberts influenced an article that was written by the Raleigh Business Journal. And it was interesting because the technology was like, wow, right up our alley. It's like sounded like something you would find in Northern Virginia. So, but there is like this technical underbelly here in Wilmington. That I'm trying
dark underbelly.
Yeah, I'm trying to like elevate this. Like, no, you have to tap into this. This is really awesome. And trying to get visibility from the DC market down here, of talking to some of the investors there, and trying to motivate some of the entrepreneurs here to kind of reach out, because there's some VCs and angels in the Raleigh-Durham area that do a lot of investing here in Wilmington. And then there's a lot of cashed out entrepreneurs that actually live here in Riceville Beach and Carolina Beach and other places that are looking, to do those type of angel investing opportunities. But Jim Roberts does a great job.
Seems like it.
Yeah. You talked to him last night?
We didn't get enough time to really interact, so I'm meaning to shoot him a note to make sure to connect, just to have that relationship, see if I can be helpful. I'm sure I have tons I can learn from him about not just the startup ecosystem and journey as well, to make my practice more effective, but also I want to do more in my local area, and especially the district, in creating a startup culture that is other than GovCon, or and other things related to the government. Like, I come from a national security background. I'm passionate about the mission. Appreciate all those who do that technologically as enablers in the private sector, also. But for me, my post-military passions have been outside of the government, and I think we need more of that up there in Northern Virginia and
for sure,
DC, Maryland, Virginia area.
Yeah, it's kind of saturated in GovCon.
Yeah,
and it seems cybersecurity for some reason.
It's so much cyber. And no offense to any cyber people, you may have some cyber investments. I am bored to death by any time someone starts talking cyber. For some reason, like, I can get technical. I like puzzles. I did well at math, but like I just have zero interest in my DNA in cyber. I don't know what it is.
Well, it sounds repetitive at some point.
Yeah.
Like, they all sound like the same company. Like, I think I've heard this song before.
Right. Well, yeah. I think the other thing is it's defensive, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. There is offensive cyber, right? And I know there's companies in that, and it's important, right? Given our adversaries to have that capability and exercise it when we need to. But when I hear cyber, I see, just, I don't know, defending the fort, and I'm more offensive by personality.
Right.
Hopefully not offensive generally.
Right. Exactly.
As a person.
Yeah. So how did you think Elevate went as a product itself?
Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. As some people said today, so many great people there. and that's the number one. So you curate a great group of participants and the folks who came back. It was great to connect with all of them, especially dinner last night, seeing some new faces, and then the content, obviously top notch, given your experience and your education and everything you've done in terms of continual learning, all the patterns you've seen investing wise. And as I said there, not to repeat, and I know you don't like to hear too many compliments, but you have a way of conveying complex topics in ways that anyone can access. That operators who are just knee deep in their business, they haven't heard a lot of this business school jargon before, whether it be financing or something else, and you convey it in a way they can understand it and they're motivated to grab hold of it. But also you humanize everything, right? And at the end, these are my words, not yours, but it seems like you're all about people, and you're able to share the ups and downs you had, and really be vulnerable about things when people can relate to it on that human level.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Actually, the program itself was influenced by my experience at HBS, taking the OPM program. The modules and going through the content. It's content's the content. You have to modernize it and create towards today's economy, but some of the fundamentals are there. But if you overlay that with just the trends and the signals that you've seen from other high vibe, startups and founders, and how they run their business and how did that work and what mistakes did they make, and almost like a case study, like what happened, it's good to learn by example, and it's good to not have to repeat the same heartache. Learn from others, basically. Don't reinvent the wheel. Try to take your concept and ideas, but then also bounce it off of something that's already happened, so that way you don't have to repeat the same mistake. Right?
Yeah. And obviously there's ways to help us gain that experience, from people like you at things like Elevate, and getting mentors, which, given the size of my ego at one time, I didn't have a lot of mentors. It was just a thing where I felt like I didn't need it. And so that's obviously good, but it's really that pattern matching and developing that, right? And saving yourself time by getting that pattern matching from other people. And
exactly,
as when you're a new guy SEAL, you just get so much stuff at supply. So all this gear all at once, like thousands and thousands of dollars of awesome gear. But the old guys always say, like, the one thing you can't get at supply is experience.
Right, exactly. Well, before we jump into the startup and the venture side, because I really want to learn more about Andrew today. Like, what are you working on? What are you passionate about? And are you making investments? Are there certain, sectors that you're working with? I want to learn about Andrew before, because I think a lot of who you are today was forged by the fire that you went through in the past.
Yeah.
So you attended the Naval Academy, which, by the way, is such an awesome experience. I know I've interviewed and talked to multiple people that's gone to the Naval Academy, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? This sucks." But my son was looking to. We did tours of both Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, and he eventually decided to go ROTC at Purdue. But I was so impressed with Naval Academy. Like, he did the overnight experience, and the parents got to go through, different seminars about all the engineering aspects and the process, and, how they live, the culture. And it's super appealing. I know it sucks to go through it, but my goodness, like, Annapolis is beautiful right there on the water. I said, I'm thinking, like, man, I should have really applied myself here, back in the day. Maybe, I don't know, but walk me through that. How was that experience for you?
It was good. My dad is from India, immigrant. And then on my mom's side, my grandfather was medically disqualified for the military around World War II. So there was no military experience in my family leading up to the choice of where I was going to go to college. But I remember I was in this job fair with my dad at high school, or not job fair, college fair. and there was a Naval Academy blue and gold officer, as they call them, some grizzled fighter pilot veteran who flew missions in Vietnam, and he's there, and I was kind of hooked from that point. And I had my dad, like a lot of immigrants, very patriotic. Watched a lot of war movies and stuff like that with him late at night, and applied to the Naval Academy and West Point Air Force Academy. Thought seriously about West Point, but did the overnight experience at both. And number one, West Point is a dreary place,
yes.
especially when I did the overnight. I'm sure it gets pretty at some point, but it's a dreary place with dreary people, dreary uniforms, and it's obviously a great institution. I literally just posted the other day about how I don't really do the inter-service rivalry thing. It's kind of immature to me. It just doesn't resonate where, we'll die for each other overseas, but, we're going to like joke around like we're five, about what the other person did. Like that's not really something I do. But I do remember that in the overnight at West Point, I remember one of the cadets there, I want to say he was like a sophomore, so he wasn't that sage of a person in life at that point. But I remember we're at lunch, and he tells me, if you want to lead machines, go to the Naval Academy. If you want to lead men, come to West Point. And I was like, that's a mic drop line. That's right bold. There. Yeah. That's a mic drop line. But obviously, you lead people in the Navy as well, and so. The Naval Academy, it's a beautiful place, and naval bases are also in prime locations. Army bases happen to not be. And the biggest thing was I wanted to be a SEAL. So there's obviously special operations in the Army, but I love
Did you grow up in the D.C. metro area?
I didn't. I grew up in Florida. I grew up in Florida, okay. On the coast, Daytona Beach area. So just sand and water are in my blood. And I tell people, like, even if I don't go to the beach very often, but I need to be near water.
Yeah.
So,
have you attended a bunch of NASCAR races down there?
When I was younger, I went to a good handful of them. I didn't grow up a huge NASCAR fan, but like I appreciate it more and more, and like I feel like I'm getting in more into Formula One now.
Oh yeah,
potentially, yeah.
Yeah, the Indy races are really good too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When my son, he was considering Embry-Riddle.
Yeah.
In Daytona.
Great place.
And when he went for a summer camp, so we went down there, and I took my dad to not the Daytona 500, but is it the Firecracker 400?
Yeah, there's a Firecracker 400.
The one in the
it's
summer?
Like a Pepsi 400
yeah,
too, I think.
Yeah. So we went to the one in the summer.
Okay.
It was hot, and it rained like in the middle of the race. So it was, delayed to the next day. Yep. So we got 2 days of racing. But it was a great experience.
Yeah. I mean, if it's 3 p.m. in the summer, there's a thunderstorm in Florida. So
yeah. So you attended Naval Academy, and you wanted to be a SEAL from the beginning. Okay. Yeah. So after graduation, you where were you deployed?
So I went to a ship after graduation, after a little time in Newport, Rhode Island, which is where you go to Surface Warfare Officer School.
Okay.
And got some extra time up there doing some engineering courses to be equipped to be an engineering officer aboard ship. Which ironically was some of the best training I got in the military, I think, like just because having all that technical aptitude for things that I never thought about before in terms of like how do all the intricacies of how engines work, boilers work, generators work, right? Electricity, pumps, all these real tangible things and mechanical systems was super cool, and I still use that with my son today in terms of car maintenance and things like that. Surface Warfare Officer School, then went to San Diego aboard the USS Rushmore, which we jokingly called the Rustmore, and deployed to Southeast Asia. So a bunch of countries there instead of the Persian Gulf. Because well, number one, going on a ship to the Persian Gulf, even not in these times where there's a war going on, it's not the funnest deployment to make on a ship. And also, I wanted to pick a ship that was going to deploy right away because I knew I wanted to become a SEAL. And the advice I'd gotten from people who had done what's called a lateral transfer from surface warfare, being on a ship, to SEAL teams was go to a ship that is deploying like as soon as you can, because then you can get your qualification pin, your warfare pin. For surface warfare, because you need that in order to lateral transfer. And I was very detail oriented, results driven about, okay, how am I going to get on the ship and get off the ship? Because I don't want to do this forever. So then was through applying myself, but also a little luck probably, I was able to get lateral transfer approved, and then went to BUDS, basic SEAL training. Yeah.
What year was this?
I think I went to BUDS in 2002, fall of 2002, if I'm not mistaken.
So you spent a few years on the ship. It sounds like.
A little time stashed somewhere after graduation, like a lot of ensigns are, junior officers, and then Newport, and then the ship deployed, and then I was on there for some time after. But I want to say it was like a year and a half on the ship before I was finally done.
Did some of your shipmates and people that you were working with think you were crazy for trying to become a SEAL?
Yeah, a little bit. Our executive officer, used to joke that I was going to become a snake eater, right? Like,
that's what they call it.
That's what they used to call SEALs back in Vietnam. But. Yeah, it was kind of a mix of craziness, but also support. It was a great group of people, and I remember being a little nervous walking into my captain's office when I had my
papers.
I had my papers that I needed him to sign to recommend me, and he had to, write a memo endorsing my application. It was a little nervous, but they were very supportive.
And your family was also supportive?
Yeah, I mean, my mom, who has since passed, but she wasn't a fan of it necessarily. I mean, she didn't even want me to go in the military, very, very protective mother. But yeah, they were, overall, like, I wouldn't be who I am without my family for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So you walk in the BUDS.
Yeah.
Eyes wide open, ready to go.
Eyes wide open. And the Discovery Channel, if people are interested, the Discovery Channel docuseries from...
Yeah, I've seen that.
Early 2000s, like way early 2000s. You can still find it on YouTube. It's such a good picture, and it's into what it's like to go through BUDS. And it's very detailed. They show a lot of stuff. They gave them a lot of access at the time. And it's just really well produced. That came out right around the time I was getting my lateral transfer package approved, and this dream started to become real. And I'm seeing this documentary, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. And not only that, but some of my Naval Academy classmates were in the documentary.
Wow!
Right, and so I'm seeing people I know, and like them, these like studs who just were crushing all the physical stuff, and top of the tops and everything, just going through pure hell. But in a way, it was encouraging, because I like to say, I can't remember what you said today, something like proximity is destiny or something like that. Knowing someone who's done something and being around them, you can be like, okay, like, yeah, I can do that. Like it's real.
Right.
So got into BUDS, with, class 243, ended up getting rolled the day before Hell Week, meaning, during a medical check, I had a bunch of wounds on my shins from something called rock portage, where you take the rubber boats that you carry on your heads everywhere, and you land them on the boulders of Coronado Beach in the daytime, and then you do it at night. Which, I mean, I tell people all the time, that's a super dangerous evolution. There's a lot of dangerous things in buds, and especially SEAL training in general, and obviously combat. But that training evolution is really dangerous because, especially at night and in the winter, the surf gets big in San Diego, Coronado, especially. So you've got these huge waves, freezing water, darkness, and then you have these boulders that, if the boat, wave takes the boat and hits it into you, you're getting crushed into a boulder, right? And you can easily get your legs in between them, which is what I did. Luckily, a boat didn't knock me over at that time, but I had these wounds on my shins that wouldn't heal. And so they no-go'd me for that Hell Week, and I got rolled over to the next class, 244, for a winter Hell Week. Full benefit, as we like to say. And then, by the time we got into Hell Week, it was a couple days before the two officers who were more senior than me rang the bell and quit. And I remember standing outside the chow hall. There's these little brief moments of respite where no one's yelling at you, and you're maybe not wet, not sandy, or at least a little less wet and less cold. And I'm standing outside the chow hall. You're already delirious by this point. It was like Tuesday morning or something like that, and so you've been up for 48 hours, or maybe I'm miscounting, something like that, and I remember one of the instructors coming to me, and it was something like, like the guy out of the Matrix, like, Mr. Sridhar, you're next. And so I was class leader at that point, which, in case it's not clear, you do not want to be class leader. You do not want to be on the enlisted side, the lead petty officer. Like, it's a formative experience. I'm glad I did it, because I learned so much about myself and so much about leadership, flexing those muscles in this crucible where everything sucks all the time, and you're with all these guys and everyone's stressed out, but also trying to support each other and get through to their dream. It was very formative, but the spotlight is on you,
right?
And instructors want to make sure, number one, that any officer, all the guys, but especially the officers, are not going to flake, let people down when it comes time for them to lead guys in combat, right? Make a bad call, get people killed, something like that. But also, I think it's a little bit of a source of pride when they make an officer quit, especially the class leader.
Yeah.
So
it's almost as if they're incentivized. Like they try to make you quit.
Oh, they're definitely incentivized. Yeah.
The one story you told when you're on the beach, you said it was surf torture. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Where you're locked in arms and the waves are rolling on you.
Yeah.
And then you hear the ding, ding, ding. And then the guy's like, anybody's next. He's over here. Johnson's over here on the blanket drinking a hot cocoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like psychological torture at that point.
Yeah. It's real. I think what a lot of people probably don't realize about SEAL training, as opposed to other things like, to take it like Marine boot camp, right? Where, there's psychological things there. Like, they've got that down to a science. They definitely know the psychology of getting under people's skin and getting their head and stuff like that. But, it's much more yelling and hard. Whereas I think that the SEAL instructors, it's much more subtle, and sometimes they're just completely quiet, or they just say this little thing. Like I still remember to this day. Instructor Stone, we were doing something, and I failed at something, because they're gonna find the weakness in anybody, right? Like, we all fail in butts over and over and over again. And in part, part of the secret is like the guys who can fail but keep going, right? That's who you want. That's who makes it, among other things. But I remember Instructor Stone, at one point, I'm in the front leaning rest, right? So a plank, push-up position, right? And I remember I think it's just me at that point. Like, my class had gone on to something else, and I'm, just getting a little little special attention. And I remember him, you know, and by the way, it's also ironic because it's like the perfect day in San Diego, right? The weather's there perfect all the time, but it's, you know, 72 and completely sunny and this beautiful surf, and beautiful sand, and beautiful beach, but it's me just in the push-up position forever. And I remember he kneels down and he puts his head real close to my ear. He says, "I despise you." And for some reason, I don't know what it was, for some reason that was just in my head. Like for the rest of first phase. I still remember it today. It was just like, it was so diabolical. And so they have a way of where, you know, there's some exceptions where you're just like, that guy sucks, like as a person. You know, for the most part, you're like, no, like actually these guys are awesome. Like they're doing a job. They're testing us.
Yeah.
And they're not easy to hate, because that would make it too easy to get through training. Right? If they create an us them or a me you, then I can like, oh, I'm competitive. I'm gonna beat you. I'll show you. Right? But it's not like that. It's not like that. It's harder because of that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you said you rolled forward,
rolled back. Yeah.
Rolled back. I'm sorry. So you went through training with one class and then you got hurt.
Yeah.
They pulled you out and you healed for a period of time. And then another class was rolling through and they just inserted you into that class to kind of finish, to keep going forward. Is that a pretty common occurrence, going through buds?
Yeah. And I just want to make clear, it's like, it's not like they insert you where you stopped, unless you got rolled at Hell Week, or unless you get rolled at the end of a phase. But if you get rolled anywhere pre Hell Week, like you gotta start the whole thing over.
Start all the way over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which, you know, it's not that many weeks, but like every day. Every hour at Bud sucks bad. So you gotta start the whole thing over.
This is, how many months is it again?
The whole thing is 7.5 months if you count the period before you class up and start first phase. There's some stuff before, but really, like, by, you know, whatever, on paper it's 6 months, and that is the hardest part.
So
and
theoretically,
first phase is really the hardest.
You could go 4 or 5 months and have to start all over.
No.
Right?
You would go back to the beginning of the phase.
Yeah. How many phases
so,
are in buds?
there are 3 phases. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said it was like 6 months of getting kicked in the balls every day.
Every day, all day.
Every day, all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's some good.
That's a painful analogy,
too.
man.
Yeah. There's some good moments too. It is possible to have fun during this experience. Like the people who make it are able to somehow see the light in the situations.
Right.
It's a little bit like there's a lot of gallows humor.
Right.
In the process.
So at the end, those that survive Hell Week, you said it was how many?
For us, we started with 220. My friend just refreshed my memory the other day. My buddy Nat, 220-ish, and we ended with 30 at the end of Hell Week.
30 out of 220.
Yeah, and that's just 5 weeks. You know, if we count just the official, you know,
right.
and then there's weeks before that. So, you know, 5 to 9 weeks, starting with 220, get to 30, and then there's a whole nother, you know, 5 months after that.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. But those 30 people are galvanized through this process, and are they ready to deploy at that point, or there's still more training?
Oh no, yeah, not even close. Not even close. You just we tadpoles at that point.
Okay.
So yeah, galvanize is an interesting word for it. I think yes, right? You know you've done something at that point that you'd always dreamed of doing, and that so few people, you know, on the planet do, and of the guys who try it, you know, so few make it through.
Right.
So in that sense, yeah, like you feel pretty good, right? And you're tight with the guys that you have gone through this experience with. at the same time, and other SEALs may disagree on this or on all of it. I don't know, but from my perspective, the guys who like are there, they had that all along.
Mm.
You know, they were already galvanized before they even got there.
Right. Yeah, you almost have to be. Yeah, just to survive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did you stay in the Navy as a SEAL after you've gone through this training?
Yeah. So 5 years.
Is there a requirement after taking BUDS that you have to serve at some point?
That's a good question. I don't believe there is. I think it just depends on your enlistment, if you're enlisted, or your officer obligation. So I was a lat transfer, so I had only a couple years left that I owed the Navy for the Naval Academy at that point after the ship. But yeah, chose to stay in longer because I wanted to do what's called your OIC tour, Officer in Charge tour.
Okay. That's what you did in Iraq, right?
Yeah, that's right.
How many deployments?
Well, on my second deployment, yeah.
How many deployments did you do total?
Yeah, so 2 SEAL deployments plus the ship deployment. So on the first deployment, a SEAL deployment, we protected the Iraqi political leadership. So we protected the vice president of Iraq. Though they have 2, we protected one of them, and then and I was his main contact for protection, which was super interesting and kind of surreal as a what was I 25, 27, something like that, years old at the time, and then on my second deployment to Iraq, we deployed as part of a joint task force doing missions all over the country. So that's when I got to be a ground force commander on a lot of missions. Yeah.
Okay. And then after those experiences, as you detailed a few this morning, did you decide, you know what, I want to do something different with my life and enter Harvard to get your MBA? Is that about the time you did that, or?
Well, yeah, I'll just reframe it, not to split hairs too much, but if I hadn't had a family, I would have stayed in the SEAL teams longer. I always knew I wanted to do other things. Got lots of interest. There's some people in the military or even in the private sector who, if you ask them like, what else would you do? And they're like, I have no idea. Whereas I'm like, are you crazy? There's like a zillion things that are awesome.
Right.
How do you not have a list of at least like a few things that sound like they'd be cool to do? So I knew I wanted to do some other things at some point. I probably would have stayed in, I don't know about 20 years, but I would have stayed in longer. On my second deployment, in between operations, I was sharing a trailer with a guy named Mark, fellow officer, and he'd crawl up in his rack and start to go to sleep as I was doing my business school essays, getting ready to go. Yeah. And then was able to get into Harvard.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
And what year did you enter HBS?
2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, I was there at the same time taking OPM.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was there 2008, 2009, 2010, all in the month of October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably passed each other on the sidewalks or in the buildings or something.
When I wasn't in the classroom, I was in the bars. I spent a lot of time in the bars.
Yep.
And networking, obviously.
Yeah.
And there were study rooms.
Sure.
Where our dorms were, and we had a lot of homework and prep work, and then obviously we were doing some other peer-to-peer type conversations, which was pretty awesome. So
I was not as much in the bars, and because I had my first child, she was 3 when I got to business school with my now ex-wife, and then we had our son like the first day of or something like that of class the second year. So anyway, because of that, didn't do as much networking during that process, but I was just at my business school reunion last summer, And
Yeah, I saw your post and pictures about that.
Yeah, it was phenomenal for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Some of which are beyond the scope of this podcast. But I remember my friend and section mate, Sukesh. It's like late night after this beautiful gala, and we're at this kind of dive bar for the after party, and people are just having a great time. Dancing to the Europeans are got the techno going, and also and Sukesh is like over the music. He's like, "This is what we were doing the whole time you were with your family."
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know the campus has changed a lot too. I haven't been back since 2010.
Okay, yeah, it's changed.
Well, actually, no, I take that back. I was there 2 or 3 years ago because my daughter attends WPI in Worcester.
Yeah.
And I was up there taking her back to school in January. And I said, you know what, let's go over to HBS and walk around, and I'll show you the classrooms I was in, And I tried to get into Mellon Hall. Of course, the doors were locked.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, it was cool. I saw some of the new buildings like Tata Hall, where I think they have a bunch of executive ed stuff there now.
I think so.
Whereas before it was
nice.
It was in the traditional buildings, and
right.
Yeah, but that was cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
It's a beautiful place, and
I love the campus. Yeah.
The campus is incredible.
Yeah.
Obviously, the education is top notch, like you were saying earlier today.
Yeah.
But I'd be remiss if I didn't, say how amazing not just the professors, but all the students were. My classmates are just incredible humans, not just successful, but incredible humans. And I think it's easy to stand on the sidelines and kind of critique, make fun of whatever, bring other people down who might be successful or something. And so I think, the Harvard Business School specifically, can get a bad rap, but honestly, my classmates are just like some of the best people on
for
earth.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took it to Spangler and over through the coop, had to get a couple sweatshirts for her.
Yeah, you got to get some swag. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not, right?
Yeah. My kids, I'm not a big, go team, school spirit sort of guy. Granted, if I'd gone to like a D1 college that was more fun than the Naval Academy, I probably would be.
Right.
But my kids are always like, Dad, like, you have no Navy SEAL sweatshirts we can steal. You have no Harvard Business School stuff. Like, we need more merch.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Got to sport the merch, man.
Yeah, I know. It's not in me to like flex all the time. But they want to flex. So
right. They're proud of Papa.
Yeah.
They want to tell people.
That's
my
fair.
Dad. Look at my dad.
That's fair.
That's awesome.
That's fair.
So after HBS, where did you go from there? What was your first job?
So I had done an internship at Barclays Capital.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You worked on Wall Street for a while, right?
I did. Yeah. Barclays Capital had, Lehman Brothers went under the first week that I started business school. So
you graduated in 10, yeah?
Graduated in 10, yeah.
Yeah, the weirdest thing is I remember we were in the middle of our sessions, and every break they had the TVs playing out in the lobby.
Yeah.
And we were watching the stock market fall 8, 9, 1,200 points a day.
Yeah.
And it's like in real time, like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
That's like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. So you actually entered Wall Street. Almost, it sounds like Wolf of Wall Street. You're like Jordan Belfort. You get a job, you walk in day one. It's like
a little bit.
Files for bankruptcy.
Yeah. So we started business school that week that Lehman went under, and it was an interesting time to be in business school. It's kind of like the best and worst time, because it's the best because you've already planned for this period in your life to be out of the market, right? So you can worry a little less. And the analysis that we got from the professors in real time of, all the factors, that were at play and things like that was super interesting and educational. At the same time, when it comes time for internships, then like, it was precious few. But anyway, yeah, went to Barclays Capital. They had acquired Lehman by that point, which is the other reason I brought up Lehman. Did an internship, took a full-time offer on the power desk, which is for people who trade powerfully. No, kidding. It's electricity and natural gas. And did some stuff with some complex derivatives, which was super interesting, super educational. So started there, but then transitioned to startup after that. It was a fashion startup. Not that I knew or know a lot about fashion, but they had a company that did flash sales. So flash sales were super big back then. Everyone knew what it meant. For people who are living now who probably don't know what it means, it's where the merchandise changes over every 24, 48, 72 hours. So like Groupon, that's how they started.
Right.
Gilt Group. This was an also ran to that. And they had they had like 40 women in this one department, and they needed someone to go herd the cats. So all these women who graduated from like Fashion Institute Technology, and they were responsible for getting all of the product from the time a buyer wanted on the site to like, okay, talk with the vendor, get samples, get it model booked, get the product shot on the model, get the images retouched, like all this process, operation, supply chain to get the stuff and then get it in inventory in the warehouse and actually get it sold, get the customer service. So anyway, that's how I started my career in tech, was being their leader, their director to help that stuff work. But then transition to other things after that. But it was a really foundational part of starting in the private sector, because the Wall Street's a different beast.
Right. Well, tell me, we've interviewed other veterans, and they talk about the struggles. Like even I have had experiences with individuals who left the intelligence community, and when you roll from an organization that's government focused, whether it's military, civilian, or whatnot, over to the private sector, that's a big transition.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not that successful. What were some of the challenges that you faced rolling from the Navy SEALs organization in a high performance, high velocity, on demand always, to the the private sector in that economy during that time?
Yeah. It's one of those things where you can be in the moment and think you know how you're dealing with something, but not really know. So, people would ask, how are you adjusting? And I would always think about the old movies depicting the Vietnam era, and you got these guys coming home from Nam, and they got the flashbacks, and they can't adjust, and they're using all this military jargon, and nothing works anymore, which was definitely not the case. For me, it was I was reading Harvard Business Review when I was in the military. One of my majors at the Naval Academy was economics, right? Like, and I prided myself on not making my entire identity, like military speak and stuff like that. Right. At the same time, I underestimated how much I would miss the SEAL teams, like, and B, how much I was adjusting to things. So, I mean, I will say, just because I could talk for hours about this, and I won't. For people of organizations, who do things for veterans in terms of transition, or companies that have a lot of veterans, I'm happy to come speak. It's something that I do speak on, because it's I've done everything wrong, and I don't want other veterans to repeat it. So I'll throw that out there. But military veterans, especially people who have done more of the high velocity, high risk stuff, it's like walking away from a pro sport. Athletes have the same issues who have played at the highest level in walking away, and that you miss the camaraderie, You can't trust people to have your back nearly as much. People don't actually want as much ownership as you think they do. And I talked about ownership today at Elevate, and all of the SEALs embrace that. Obviously, Jocko's made that a pillar of his content, and for good reason. But a lot of people are threatened by ownership at some point.
Why do you think that is?
I hate to sound judgy or dismissive or something like that. I believe in growth mindset. I believe that no one. One of my mantras is no one better, no one worse. And what that reminds me of is, okay, anyone who is more successful or more famous or whatever, they're still human too. They're no better in a sense, right? They've learned some lessons, they've done some things. But other people aren't worse either, who are earlier in their journey or maybe have, are a little toxic or motivated by different things. Like, we're all human. We've all made missteps. We've all had bad stuff happen to us, and we react in different ways. And, our brains are just not that different foundationally, but they take different paths based upon how we're shaped. And so the reason I mention that, big caveat, is because some people are just fundamentally motivated by different things. I had a SEAL who was in my first platoon. Awesome dude. I'm gonna send him a note after this. I remember at one point, I don't know what we were doing, but it was just a lull in the conversation. We were talking about, people in generally, and he just goes, most people are cowards. And it's, I think, both profound and also true. At the end of the day, most people aren't willing to take risks. They can't see the big picture. They're not willing to take ownership of something that doesn't directly and immediately affect them and their family, their social status, their paycheck. So you get people who are extremely well educated and extremely well compensated with fancy titles in big companies who they don't care about you. They don't care about the customer. They don't care about doing the right thing necessarily unless it benefits them. That's not everybody by any means, right? And I we should always assume positive intent. But the idea of comparing to military or maybe some other professions built on service like medicine. I'm a little biased. I come from a medical family. The idea that you do things for other people, all the time, as fast as you can, as hard as you can, no matter what, with risk to yourself, that's not how a lot of people are wired. And even if it's, sometimes we want to make bets, right? And they do benefit us, but some people, their risk profile is just so risk averse, right? They can't tolerate the upside or the ambiguity.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. It was great thought piece. It kind of goes back to, complacency kills growth.
Yeah.
We talked about that today, and having a strong growth mindset, means that your, growth happens at the edge of discomfort. It hurts. Whether you're in the gym working out or training for a marathon or getting your doctorate or whatever. I mean, you're growing. Yeah. You're hurting at some degree because it's painful.
Yeah.
But that pain is kind of what is necessary to, help that you are growing, you're learning, you're expanding, So some folks are just not motivated or incentivized to do that, or they're just not disciplined enough to go through the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So at one point, did you join Amazon in your journey in the private sector? Because I'm curious about that as well. I believe that's where we met the first time.
It is. Yeah. I had gone there after a brief period in one of my entrepreneurial attempts. I was on a private sector project, but it had some international elements that I can't talk about here. But did that, was back down in Virginia Beach where I served with the SEAL teams, which was a great respite for the family. Just had on a whim had applied to Amazon and exploring things. I knew they were pretty military friendly, especially at that time relative to the other tech companies. Like Amazon was way ahead of everybody else in terms of military talent and recruitment and things like that. So heard back from them. They had a fulfillment center manager, senior manager position, whatever it was, senior operations manager, something like that. And I almost took it. I think they even made me an offer. But then the recruiter tells me, oh, there's this other possibility, this other job that someone's interested in you potentially interviewing for. Would you be willing to talk to the hiring manager? And I talked to the hiring manager, and this was at headquarters. So I, kind of super lucky. Fulfillment would have been okay, but I think I learned so much more at headquarters than I personally would have in the field. I think I probably enjoyed it more as well. So, ended up going into a product management position in Seattle and moved the family out there. And got to do some cool product stuff there. And that was really the foundation of my tech leadership skill set. Yeah.
So you were stationed in Seattle, or did you actually work for the public sector group? I believe, was it Chris Bailey was running that group at the time?
Yeah. So I started out in Amazon operations on the ops tech side, and this was in Seattle, like you said. Eventually, I moved out here to the East Coast, DC area, and did the public sector stuff. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you work on the C2S side of the house, or?
Yeah, exactly. Just that little portion of intelligence community marketplace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were working on the marketplace, trying to help bring technologies into that segment.
Correct. Yeah, I was leading the client relationship, which was fun to contribute to the mission in that way again, and deal with those folks. And then also for bringing software vendors like yourself and other folks onto the platform with their products, so that
I think if I remember correctly, I guess it was the work that y'all were doing with Combine, our low to high.
Yeah, that's right.
Technology.
That's right.
Kind of helping some of those tools.
Yeah, I forgot exactly what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Which I hear they're still using it today.
Good.
So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I kind of keep a pulse on things just to kind of see how
see how your babies are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a whole cool experience.
Yeah.
Kind of creating this thing. I look back on it and I'm like, we were too early. The market, the environment just wasn't ready for it. Because you have these brain ideas like, wait a minute, if it's so challenging, the barriers are too high on the high side, then why don't build it on the low side where there's no barriers?
Yeah.
Right. You could create the simulations and go through that whole, putting the puzzle pieces together there, and then, ship it up, in chunks or in whole, whatever, to the high side. And they're like, oh, what a novel idea. But you can also work down there too, you don't have to be working upside, in a skiff all day either.
Right.
I don't know if we're still there yet. It's like a cultural shift.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
You try to change the current, and it's like, no, you just need to learn how to steer with the current, but build a bigger boat, kind of thing. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Do you still keep in touch with your Amazon folks?
Some of them. Yeah. Some of them. A lot of them have moved on to other things at this point.
Yeah. Do you remember Chris Champagne?
I do. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah. He basically, he and I were, kind of partners. I was in the beginning. He
Correct.
joined me.
Yeah, it was the same group
to replace someone, and then he took over, I guess, my role after I left. If I remember
exactly.
correctly.
Yeah. He occasionally will connect on LinkedIn.
Oh, cool.
Some of the content that I post.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that he must read my stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
we were talking about the LinkedIn, algorithms, and like, it's hard because I know there's a lot of people that read our content, but they don't engage with it. So it's like, if they engage, then at least, you kind of know, wow, it created an impact on them. Thank you for giving me the feedback. You know? But sometimes like you don't have that. And it's like, I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, at this point, I'm just going to put it out there.
Right.
I don't care if nobody reads it or a million people read it. It's if it helps one person, that's okay. So
I mean, I don't think you want to make this whole show about social media strategies, but not that I'm the expert, but I tell people all the time, first of all, my advice to folks is like, you got to write for yourself first. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of successful authors, that's their approach. They write something they're proud of that they needed to get out there in the world, because then you don't burn out. And then so the second thing I tell people is like, who are successful are the people who stick around, the people who don't quit. I mean, it's kind of like buds, right? Like you have all these filters of buds, and you're just left with who you're left with. Mm-hmm. It's not like the instructors created people who make it through buds. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it's a little bit of the same thing. It's just, people start and then they quit posting on stuff. It is a craft, right? We have to get better. We can't just like not quit. But
right.
I think staying in the game is the biggest thing. And I'm by no means, a huge creator now in terms of account size across the different platforms. But from what I've seen, taking courses and knowing some folks who have succeeded well, is like, even if we can't see the snowball building, it's building. People are seeing us show up. They know what we're producing, and all the lurkers are out there. Like there's a classmate of mine from HBS, and she reached out recently, and she's like, "Oh, I saw your post about this challenge you're running. My friend is interested." And I'm like, I didn't even know you read my stuff, right? Like, which is cool. Which is shameless plug. If people are interested in some coaching, I'm running a challenge, for myself that was put to me by my coach, for a 90-minute session of deep clarity with folks, especially founders, but not limited to them. Just people who are at a crossroads and need to get to that next level of performance. So waiving the fee, just to try and help more people.
Mm-hmm. We'll absolutely put your contact information.
Yeah, that'd be great.
In the bio section of the episode.
Cool.
But let's transition into that. So now you're working for yourself. Mm-hmm. So you left Amazon and you kind of started your own venture.
Yep.
Yeah. Talk about that experience and how that's going.
Yeah, I feel like venture is churching it up a little bit, but
what would you call it?
I don't know.
What label?
It's a going concern.
Is it therapy?
yeah. No, it's great. So like I said, I had done one entrepreneurial thing, a little bit closer to business school, and there were some kind of fundamental issues that I don't want to go into there. And by the way, that's not me making excuses or anything. And then later on, I took a shot at creating this app that was a unicorn sort of potential idea. Mm-hmm. Couldn't get traction. Unsurprisingly in social, and I only had so much runway. So I'd taken, some of these entrepreneurial shots, and so the bug, was always there all along. And I was at Wayfair leading AI and data platforms there for, what was it? I don't know, 200 data scientists and a bunch of, hundreds and hundreds of dev teams and stuff like that, which was fun and learned a lot. But they had multiple reductions in force there, and so I got laid off, and my whole team, or most of them anyway, a couple years ago. So took some time off, and a friend of mine who's also a coach, was talking to me all the time and trying to figure out what to do. Thought about starting a product company, but I've always been passionate about leadership. I've got my own podcast, which I look forward to having you on the show. And it's about leadership, it's about teams, it's about culture. And because I'm so passionate about that, and that's the soft skills, that really are the secret sauce, that take a good idea into something that I call, inevitable execution. It's the people we work through who are going to make our dreams happen.
Right.
And by getting all of those soft, again, in quotes, things right, we can make that execution inevitable. So I started a coaching and keynote speaking business. So I talk with companies in healthcare, finance, and tech primarily, not exclusively that. But those are my bread and butter, and I really love dealing with founders, especially, and CEOs, just because no one else, a few other people in the private sector know what it means like to be the ultimate accountable party, to have what I call in military terms the burden of command resting on their shoulders.
Right.
It's a lot to deal with, and it's an ambiguous thing where no one's telling you what to do. So you have to lead yourself, stop the procrastination, stop the perfectionism, stay disciplined, right? As you talk about, and show up every day and pick something, pick a priority and go. And that's it's hard. It's hard. So I like sharing the lessons that I have from both tech and the military, and then my own, startup experience as well.
How's that been going for you? Are you enjoying it?
I am. It's interesting. There were times where I doubted it, like anyone starting something new. What a lot of people are familiar with the phrase "choose your hard." There are things that suck about everything, right? So we have to choose the thing where we want to do the hard stuff in that world. And this is one of those where the benefits I get out of one-on-one or wider conversations with people are immense. On the wider side, like today at your Elevate retreat, just being able to connect with people at scale, tell them some stories that will move them and inspire them to action, and give them some frameworks and tools and things they can apply immediately that will help up-level them. That intellectual and emotional connection is priceless. I love it. I love the performance aspect. I love the storytelling. I like getting better at that craft. And then on the coaching side, just reaching people one-on-one where conversations one-on-one can be draining, right, for anybody. So I'm no exception. But it's such a privilege to be able to deal with someone in such an intimate capacity. The knock on coaching is that it's unlicensed therapy, which is not completely unfair.
Right.
It can be unlicensed therapy. The certification organizations will say that they're like, anyone listening is going to scream at their headphones or the video right now because they're like, oh, absolutely not. No, it's just powerful questions, and it's just I like to operate on the level of, hey, we're getting inside your mind and we're gonna develop elite performance from the inside out. And in order to do that, clients have to, I don't force them, they do it willingly without a lot of nudging, share what's going on in your head, how are you feeling, right? Okay, difficult conversation, what's as a buddy of mine, coach, says, what's coming up for you, where are you feeling in the body? I asked one client, the most powerful thing I asked her in our entire engagement after she wrote me a testimonial was when I asked her, do you deserve joy? And I remember walking on the beach, and she's taking a walk too. Sometimes we'll do walk and talk just on the phone. I remember it was just dead silence afterwards. And, as communication tip to people, sometimes you need to let the silence do the work, especially in negotiation, but in this kind of case as well. Just dead silence for like 30 seconds. And she knew what the answer was on paper, but she also knew she didn't feel it, that she deserved joy. And so, that might seem a very non-businessy thing. Might not seem like it's not related to performance, but our performance is wrapped up in our ability to be positive, our ability to be optimistic, our ability to be resilient, right? And if we can't have a sense, in this case, right, in this example, if we can't have a sense of self-worth, and if we can't actually play a little bit and get some joy, like, what's the point, right? We're not going to bring our best self to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it also kind of dives into finding a purpose. We need to have a mission.
Yeah.
It's like the military. Everything's a mission. Everything has a purpose. And you kind of reach a point in your life and it's like, what do I do now? It's like you're still young. You have a lot of energy and you've got a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience that you want to put to work. And it feels kind of wasteful. Like, I got to find a way to get this out. So I know exactly what you're saying, and trying to find that bridge, and and not to use the word therapy, but sometimes when I do these long posts on LinkedIn about AI or leadership or whatever, it is kind of therapeutic, because you're getting your thoughts out on paper. It's like journaling, except you're just putting your journal online, it's to create more content that can hopefully help your brand and help your business aspects and maybe attract some other people to want to work with you. I've definitely doubled down on, as I alluded to the other night, authenticity and just authenticity, vulnerability. I love your content, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
It's awesome.
I've done some great. I did a great course by LinkedIn creators. There's a ton of them. The one I did is called Archimedes. It's great. Highly recommend it. But I've had to park some of the tips that have propelled many creators, because at the end of the day, like, we all need to run our own race. And someone who's trying to build a brand and who's right out of college, right, is different than someone who's farther along in their career, someone who's military, someone who's this, someone who's that. And so we all have unique stories. And I think you brought up storytelling. I think I think the biggest thing is not, hey, top 10 tips to communicate better. Like, that post might go viral, and at least metrics wise. But something I'm trying to remind myself is, okay, like, the people who reposted that, are they invested in that person who created the post? Right? Do they love them, or do they just recognize their name? And I think what we want are, like, like Kevin Kelly said, we want true fans. People are like, oh, like, yeah, Richard, like, I love that guy. Right? He writes the, content that's helpful, but also, like, he seems like a good dude. Right? And someone where I want to tell my friends about him. And if I see him somewhere, I'm going to go up to him and be like, oh my God, like, I love your content. It's great. And that's, like, so gratifying, right? Like, for people out there who are early on their content creation journey, and I'm not that far ahead of you, folks out there, like, it will happen where eventually you'll get a DM, or someone will see you, or someone you don't even know. And that's the coolest thing. Right. When someone tells you they read something and they loved it that you wrote, who you've never met before.
Right. I mean, Doug and Amber from Elevate. I mean, that's why they're here today.
Oh, that's awesome.
The content on LinkedIn got them to say, oh, tell me more about your Elevate program.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it does work.
Yep.
So, having led teams in the military in mission critical situations, life or death, and then also transitioning to both the public sector and the private sector, what are some of the more formidable lessons through that journey, through your experiences, that kind of help shape your leadership, your decision making, and your taking accountability? with some of the things that you're doing today?
But you focused on the transition from public to private in terms of, or just kind of generally?
In general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many. There's so many, as you know. So one thing I like to frame for people in terms of leadership is, as part of this framework I call inevitable execution, I call it LION, and it's just really basic building blocks of leadership and teams, and in my mind, in my experience, is what helps the SEAL team succeed, what helps the best tech companies succeed too, and that's LION stands for love, innovate, own, and never quit. And like those 4 fundamentals can be then broken down to cover all the aspects of what you need to, create a machine that is running smoothly and getting better every day. But just to hit a couple things that are personal for me. One is that like decision making needs to be a science and really intentional in an organization and in each leader, especially the CEO. We're not there just to manage an existing system. We're there to assess trade-offs, and so few people do that well. It's a work in progress for myself as well. There are a lot of things we can do to improve decision making. The other thing is that leaders are really good at dealing with ambiguity. If you're not good at dealing with ambiguity, it's hard to say that you're actually a leader. Leaders have courage. They're willing to take risks. And as we alluded to earlier, there's so many people who aren't actually willing to take risks. And I think that the fundamentals of what distinguishes a great leader from a good leader amount to, I talked about my SEAL brother, Mark, who was sharing that trailer with and doing my business school essays. At one point I said, Mark, like, got this essay here, how do you define leadership? And he's like half asleep, groggy. He's like, rolls over, vision and guts. And then he rolls back over and goes, I'm like, that's something I never forgot after that. Because I found even through his like fatigued haze, he was spot on. So few leaders, like we come up with terms like transformational leader or visionary leader. To me, it's just leader. You're either a great leader or you're a good leader, or you're not a leader at all. Vision is part and parcel of being a leader. You can't be a leader if you don't have a vision of where you're going to go. Lead means to take people somewhere. If you don't know what your destination is, you're not taking people anywhere. Right? And then you need guts. You need the guts to be able to take people there, take risks, have hard conversations. And then there's a couple other things. You need the ability to communicate that vision to people in a way where they want to come with you. So influence. And so, yeah, it's a smorgasbord of things I threw out at you here, but those are the things that stand out in my mind for leadership.
What are some of the mistakes that you're seeing some new founders make, and what are you telling them to kind of overcome some of those challenges?
One is prioritization. We talked about ambiguity. If you're a founder, what you're going to see online in LinkedIn is, hey, here's 5 or 10 prioritization frameworks, and that's going to go viral. And it's going to be Eisenhower Matrix is going to be one. Like how people are still writing about Eisenhower Matrix, I have no idea. But I thought that topic would be like really well worn, but people are still discovering it. So it's like more power. Like we got to spread good, valuable stuff. Eisenhower Matrix, Moscow method, which is like a framework looking for a word to call it, I feel like. And pardon the saltiness here. But then there's a bunch of others. But every prioritization framework ultimately amounts to ROI. That's it. That's it. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple.
Right.
Right? And we over complexify stuff. And you can be a founder. Hey, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do this week? What am I going to do this month?
Right.
And you could sit down there and you could do your Eisenhower matrix. But the reality of what it is to be a founder, and I'm not saying Eisenhower's job was easy either. I'm not saying it was any easier by any means, right? 5-star general trying to win a war, right? Like, but you can break things down into quadrants, but at the end of the day, you need to make good decisions, do good ROI analysis, have some intuition, to some extent follow your passion, and just bet on something and go with it. And sometimes those bets are just with our time and energy, right? For today.
Right.
And so I see people get stuck in loops of like, am I doing the right thing? Am I working on the right thing? So, and I got to follow my own advice too, which is sometimes you just got to commit to something as an experiment. I'm going to do this tactic for this long and see if it works.
Right.
And I'm going to measure it. I'm going to see how I feel internally, and then reassess. Like we talked about today in the speech, plane or dive your plan.
Right.
And part of that, again, got to take my own advice, is doing boring stuff.
Yeah.
Doing boring stuff and like writing content. Sometimes you don't know if it's working. You don't know how many people, or maybe it seems like it's not working at all. But you just got to like keep doing the reps sometimes for enough time. And so that's one. The other, and then there's a whole other bucket that's around ADHD, perfectionism, procrastination. Happy to talk more about that stuff if you want. Again, I'm not a mental health professional, but my clients tell me that I'm helping them a lot in this, and I'm passionate about it as well. And then there's the third part of my little list here is that school teaches us that the only thing that matters is being right. And that's flawed for multiple reasons.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
The first reason is that's not how the world works. What matters is results, not being right. Right. Cody Sanchez, I think she's a billionaire now. If not, she's going to be. She says, "Do you want to be right or do you want to be rich?" Which is like, it's like a little bit of an intentional jarring line. But it's true. Like so many of us, we just want to be right. And the other thing is that people don't want to be around the guy or gal who wants to be the smartest person in the room all the time. They just don't. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's offensive. It's obnoxious. And you crowd out ideas from other people. Right. And that's what you need as a founder. You need ideas from other people, and you need them to feel empowered to go execute. But the third reason that whole thing is flawed, that you have to be right all the time, is that many things don't have a right answer. And so I have seen founders time and time again overanalyze something and try and get to the exam answer that says, "Oh yeah, you're right. You're safe. You can go off in the world and you can do this thing because you're safe. You're not going to fail. It's the right answer." But most things in life don't have right answers.
Right. Exactly. So looking into the future, I mean, obviously AI is a major disruptor.
Yeah.
In almost every field, it seems. And it's discussed almost on every TV show that you talk to that's about news and business. What are your thoughts about emerging technology, and what are you most looking forward to? And are you researching anything, playing with new tools? What do you think?
I intentionally, for the last year plus, as I've been building my coaching and speaking practice, have resisted FOMO. I've resisted the urge to feel like I need to keep in touch with every new tool and every new, Claude model that comes out and what it can do, and read the release notes, and so I don't have my head in the sand, but I think I am a bit of a contrarian, if that's not obvious already. Some of my friends and family will laugh that I'm a bit of a contrarian, because I'm probably more than that. But I've resisted the urge to feel like I need to be on top of everything. I use AI in a lot of workflows, a lot. Happy to go into detail if you want, but in a way, my attitude right now is, okay, I need to focus on, what was the Voltaire book, tend to your garden. I think that line was meant for other larger life takeaways, but I'm just tending to my garden right now of, I'm trying to build this thing. And I don't want to be distracted. I'm extremely distractible already. I have a zillion ideas a day. I have a zillion things I'm interested in, and I'm just trying to stay in the zone, right? Stay in flow. Yeah. So I don't need to be going, build Andrew AI right now, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And so that's the first part of my answer. And I've a little bit been there, done that. I like to say that I was doing AI before it was cool, right? I was reading white papers on AI in 2016 as I was headed to Amazon Alexa Science as the first product manager there. And I loved it. It was fascinating. Things have changed so much since then. I'm not saying I'm saying I know everything or I have a crystal ball, but things are changing really fast. And we tend to overhype technology early and underrepresent how much things are going to change on the long term.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think people need to chill out a little bit. Yeah, use it where it makes sense. I'm excited about things in healthcare, in terms of actually being able to solve things that we have never solved and really extend human life, but also quality of life in so many ways. It's kind of unfathomable, right? So I'm super excited about that as just one example. But I've always been, I don't want to be, I'm not necessarily a doomsday sort of person, but I have always believed, I mean, it's easy to say that now, everyone's saying that now, but I've always just believed in it is completely revolutionary, right? And that's where we're headed. And in a way we can't imagine, but in a way it's the biggest black swan ever. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen exactly.
Right.
We can predict, but we'll probably be way off.
Well, I totally agree with you on that. Well, I definitely look forward to continuing watching you on your journey. And like I said, I love your content. I can't wait to see more coming out in the near future. And I want to thank you again for being a part of Cohort 3 for Elevate, and for being authentic and being vulnerable and sharing some of your stories of your past. And thank you for coming here today.
Yeah.
And just sharing more of your thoughts with this audience. I've really enjoyed spending a couple days with you, and I do owe you a podcast visit on your set in the near future. So
yeah, I can't wait. This has been such a pleasure for you to welcome me, not just on the podcast, but into your world and stuff, and have really appreciated it. Yeah,
awesome.
This was awesome.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
You bet.
Amplified CEO is produced by Topsail Insider, edited by Coastal Carolina Network, and sponsored by Cape Fear Ventures. For more information about Amplified CEO, Richard Stroupe, or Cape Fear Ventures, please contact Christa at 910-800-0111 or Christa at topsailinsider.com.